Adventure time, come on, grab your friends, let's go to very distant lands with Vengeance Jones and Hope the Human. The fun will never end, it's adventure time.
Hello everyone. If you're a fan of Adventure Time or Fortnite, or especially both, then this is the Battle Pass concept for you. I've been in support of these so-called mini-seasons for, well, since they were first being leaked, and I for one think they should be getting at least one or maybe two every single year for the rest of time. The Star Wars one wasn't done very well, and that was partly because that was the 10th wave of Star Wars, and most of the main characters had already been done. But also, the gameplay was a tad weak post-week 2. A month-long IP-themed season absolutely needs to have something to look forward to every single week. OG and Remix had this, so it's kind of insulting Star Wars didn't. Simpsons, on the other hand, had a much better version of this concept with its entirely new map, a remixed loot pool, and something to look forward to every single week. We will be taking that approach here, where we will be going over the entire Battle Pass, items for each week, the map, and of course, the why of it all in the story. Stick around, because you will not want to miss this cool idea that will be proven completely off script this Saturday during the event. Which I'll be streaming too, so come say hi. Anyway, without further ado, let's kick it off with the Tier 1 skin. Flame Princess would be a pretty important part of this Battle Pass, as the point of the story is to recruit characters from across the land of Ooo to help stop a big threat, which I'll talk about a little bit more in the story section. Flame Princess, or FP as I might call her from now on, would be the first of these characters. Getting herself 2 styles, the most Battle Pass skins get, I guess. Her first style would be her main look throughout the majority of her early appearances, to go along with other classic designs that we already have. She'd also get her dog, Jake 2, as a glider, where Cinnamon Bun would help take her safely to the ground, as well as these horrible single pickaxes. They really need to make new animations for these, and the dually versions, but they make the most sense for her to have in my opinion. For the second style, she'd be in her battle armor. And something important that I wouldn't have thought about if it wasn't for the Marge skin is her hair. It's really tall, so I think you could fix this with a hairstyle like this. That would be the boring option. What if instead there was a flame on, flame off style, as well as a reactivity that you can turn on and off, where if she jumps in the water, it douses her flame, and after being on dry land for a while, it will ignite again. Could be pretty cool. There's a bunch of stuff in these pages that I don't think is really worth talking about, so I'll put them up here for you guys at the end of every section. Time to make you wait to see what other characters I've picked. Ha! Keep you on the edge of your seat. The map for the Star Wars season was, horrid, but the Simpsons season had Springfield merge with the concept of a Fortnite island. This bit of confusing story wouldn't need to be there for Adventure Time. Long story short, but the place that like 90% of Adventure Time episodes take place on is the island of Ooo, which is as big or as small as it needs to be for a story. Has certain places close or far away, or even non-existent for an episode to work. It's constantly in flux with how it's presented, and yet it's always supposed to be the same island. This is what I call cartoon logic, and it doesn't matter. So here, instead of needing to come up with some reason for the island to exist, we're just using normal Ooo. Some prominent named locations are, of course, Flame Kingdom, which would be likely a whole biome, along with the grass biome that features one of the most massive single building POIs we've ever gotten with Finn and Jake's treehouse. We'd also have a snowy area with an Ice King Castle as a POI, and Princess Bubblegum's castle, along with the whole Candy Kingdom as a single massive POI. Probably a little bit bigger than Tilted, probably quite a bit bigger than Tilted actually. Insanely massive. A second massive area, but not near as massive as the Candy Kingdom, would be Wizard City. Back to some of the more smaller POIs, we have Marcy's Cave and House, as well as the Lich's Lair, which would both be underground areas. The Lich's Lair would end up being similar to the Save the World dungeons, where it's one massive dungeon, whereas Marcy's Cave would be a big giant cave that has a house in it and maybe some chests and stuff scattered around. The minor areas that are not POIs would be something like the Hot Dog Kingdom, the Door Lord's Door, Uncle Gumbald's Cabin, the Library, and the Music Hole. There's obviously many, many more they could do, but those are the ones that I would definitely like to see, and I've only scratched the surface. Also, pushing people off into the Music Hole to kill them would be really, really funny. Moving into the skins that no one cares about, and as such, I will keep it brief and mash them into one section. Hey, mash, as in mash up. The Mashup skins. I personally think the Mashup skins are actually very important to any IP-themed season, not only because it's fun for me to come up with them for these videos, but also, if you aren't a fan of Adventure Time, for example, it may at least have a cool skin in the Battle Pass you would maybe like. Like, maybe you really are a fan of Peely, so you get the Springfield Battle Pass so that you can get the Springfield Peely. Similar thing going on here. And yes, I know, Banana Guard Peely, super obvious. No, I'm not doing that. Anyway, I wanted to do two different archetypes. An Ice King / Flame Kingdom mashup, and a Candy Person mashup. So let's start with the Candy Person. The first thing I thought of was, well, since they're candy, and most of the candy people are entirely intended to be joke characters, why not merge them with another jokey character from Fortnite? So I settled on Soda Pop Ripley. It's actually meant to be Root Beer Guy, or that was how I originally made it, but I think Ripley Pop sounds a lot better, and it makes more sense for the styles later. And as with any other mashup skin in the passes, we get, well, exclusively alt colors for their styles. So grape soda and cherry slush colors would be pretty cool to go along with Ripley's original alt designs. You could also possibly do one based on the orange design that Poseidon had in Chapter 5, but eh. And like I said earlier, I kind of wanted an elemental skin, ice, fire, and maybe something that was a little bit generic and that could have all four of the elements as a style. But I just couldn't find a good skin to mash up with that. Then I had a eureka moment. Vamps! So, a Vampire Guff skin was born. But since Guff is typically a feathery creature, I needed to come up with a way for him to look like Guff without having anything that makes him look like Guff. Vampires are typically somewhat lizard-looking, or, human-like, as in they have skin and not feathers. So I gave him a big beard and a coat to keep the thickness of him in the general shape, but other than that, I'm not sure you would know that this is supposed to be Guff without the name being related to Guff. Which I kinda like, but I don't know. He too gets some colors, which I based on his glider counterpart, making him more green and more purple. Time to talk about the final pass skin. Well, except for the secret skin, of course. The biggest, the baddest, the iciest king of them all, Ice King. Ice King's first page would actually be lame-o Simon Petrikov, with an Enchiridion backbling and an Ice King transformation emote. As much as you guys know that I hate built-in stuff, this one would probably need to be built in, sadly. But the glider wouldn't. You spawn in the crown, grow Ice King's beard, and use it to float down onto the island. Very cool.
She's 13 years old now.
Oh, dang it! Well, I'm out of here. Goodbye, everyone.
Of course, the second style would be the king himself. His ice nunchucks as his pickaxe, and Gunther as his backbling. You could also make that a sidekick, but I don't know if they're doing those in the Battle Pass anymore, but it's my concept, so whatever. He's a sidekick, who cares? On to the items. I think there's a couple of cool ones that you can do without actually making anything new. They would just be cosmetically different, similar to the Krusty Gun, and a slight remix with cosmetic differences. Like the first one, Prismo's Pickle Jar, a reskin version of the Junk Rift. Throw it to spawn a random big prop from across the multiverse. The Sausage Flare, Not explaining that one. You get that one. Come on, it's the sausage flare. Everybody loves the sausage flare. And lastly, for the reskins, a Lich Stone, a green version of the Shadow Stones. I think some of you may be getting at where I'm going with this story. For some of the more unique items, we'd of course have mythic versions where there's only one in a match, but for the weekends, all the mythics would be available in chests as well. Because, honestly, this is how it should always work with single mythics in my opinion. If there's only one in a match, on the weekends they should be allowed in chests. Unless they just completely break the game, then, maybe don't do it with that. Starting off with the Jake suit. This can end up being a skin in the shop if you wanted to, but like other transformation items, this gives you a full-on different moveset with a double jump, stretchy punches, and dives from above. Found by eliminating the Jake boss found around the map. He's not alone, however, as anywhere Jake is, Finn isn't too far away. Killing him will give you the Grass Sword mythic. Whenever you use the fire button, you shoot at a giant vine out of your arm, and when using the aim button, you drag the opponent towards you to get an easier kill with a shotgun, or any other gun. Princess Bubblegum would also have a mythic, called the Varmint Gun. This one would not just be a mythic, and could be found around other chests at all times, with other rarities. A single shot shotgun that explodes on contact with anything. The Ice Crown. We can imagine what this would be. Come on, guys, I don't have to explain this one. We all know what I'm talking about. We all know what I'm talking about. It's not that hard to understand this one. It's really not. It's another ice crown. It's like the ice crown you turn into ice skin. It's not that hard. It's that time again. Time for the final pass skin for real this time. And it's Fiona. I toyed around with the idea of Lemongrab and or Huntress Wizard, but I think for some of the other things I want to talk about in the item shop, this makes way more sense for the pass. She'd have the most styles out of anyone else, having an adventure and casual outfit, baby Finn backbling, and 2 swords, being her crystal sword and her ribbon sword. She'd also have an identical backbling that Finn has, but if you own one and get the other, they merge into one item in your locker since they're literally the same thing. For Fiona's second set of styles, yes, I did say set, it would work like a color option, with some very slight differences. Fennel, her grass counterpart, would also have pre and post Ice King styles. And since this is a pretty unique thing, I guess I should talk about how the wrap works. When using Fiona or Finn or any other skin, the wrap is the classic colors of Finn and Fiona, blue, white, and green. But if you're using Fennel or Fern, yes, I did say Fern, then it will change its color to match their green aesthetic. Speaking of item shop skins, Fern would of course become a style for Finn, and a grass sword would be added to the shop as well. I would also probably include some massive bundle of several different Finn swords, because we're really missing out on a couple of those that are kind of important. One of those being the grass sword, which would come with Fern. If you're using Fennel a lot, you'll probably want to pick up that pickaxe. But what is Fiona without Cake? So, Cake would also become a style for Jake. Moving on to the new skins. I already sort of brought this up about Lemongrab, but he would be a really great shop skin, because you can have 2 styles that are really low effort, but are both super important, and they can charge a little bit more, because it has 2 styles. And also Huntress Wizard would be great to see. She would probably be the one most kitted out in terms of other cosmetic items. Emote, backbling, pickaxe, the works. At some point in the season, having a free event banana guard would be pretty fire, because then most of the people on the map would be banana guards, which is exactly how it should be. Similar to the duplicate thing they did not too long ago. It'd be really cool to have some type of peppermint butler mech, and if they can figure out a way to do it, cinnamon bun would be pretty funny as well. Some honorable mentions depending on what exactly they'd want / could pull off from the previous set that I just said. Hudson Abadir, Billy, Ricardio, and Buff Bimo. You know what? I changed my mind. Buff Bimo is in the game. He is in my locker right now. Oh, and of course, the Jake suit. Oh, and of course, the main villain of the season, the Lich. The story wouldn't be all that crazy, and I don't need to predict too much about what's happening this Saturday to be able to tell this one. At some point between now and the end of next chapter or so, one of the Last Reality's cubes gets a hold of a 0-point shard. It can either be a piece of the one that we're fighting against this Saturday, or it can be a new one. This cube can be acting under the Last Reality, or under its own accord. It doesn't really matter that much. But Jones, Hope, and whoever else is up for the challenge follows it to the Adventure Time universe, somewhere during the first half of the original show. Jones and Hope also have a shard from the Homer Simpson stuff, and the two groups fight over the course of the season. But the cube isn't alone. The cube happened to land within the Lich's lair on Ooh. And the Lich immediately takes control of the cube, and by proxy, the 0-point shard. Slowly over the course of the season, the Lich would take over more areas on the map. They would mostly end up being the same. It would just be the color palette and general vibe of the area that would shift. Every week a new area would change, like the Fire Kingdom would become green and dark, or the Ice Kingdom would become melted and watery. Stuff like that. They would more or less stay the same, just visually change. Up until the last week, where Jones, Hope, Finn, Jake, and Princess Bubblegum use the 0-point shard that Jones and Hope have to push back the Lich, and in quests, not in a live event, will destroy the cube and regain the 0-point shard. Then the main heroes of Jones, Hope, and the Loopers, and maybe the Seven, who knows, would go back to doing whatever they were doing before, fighting the Last Reality, fighting the Corrupted Seven, whatever it is they're doing. They would leave Adventure Time and go do that for the actual finale event. This would be the first and only green cube in the entire storyline and lore, and that's only because the Lich took control of it. There is no green cube within the actual Fortnite story. It's just green for the cool factor of the Lich. That's literally it. He aura farmed the cube to turn itself green. He literally aura farmed him. He literally cooked him. It's up. It's over. It's over. The cube is an unk. The Lich is the new blood, bro. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I hope you guys like that. I have a couple more that I want to do of these. The two that I'm working on right now, and I don't want to give too much away, but I'm going to do one now and one later, and I think you'll be able to figure out which one I'm going to be doing later because of when it would probably come out. But I'm going to be doing a Minecraft mini-season and a Phineas and Ferb mini-season. Those will be my next two videos. So I hope you guys like this one because that is definitely something I want to be doing in the future. Comment what other series you think would be cool. I might kind of shuffle them around. Phineas and Ferb's going to be a while from now, so I'm sure there's time for me to squeeze in another one between Minecraft and Phineas and Ferb, maybe even two. So give me your ideas, give me your suggestions, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.